How do you handle a manager that does not communicate well? Amen. Most managers don't communicate well. I don't communicate well half the time, so I get this question. Everyone else in my department sees my performance and they know how well I'm doing, but my manager only calls out and makes notes of things they don't like and never lifts me up for the things I'm doing well. Do I say something? Ooh, I feel like this is a pity party kind of wrapped in a question. So what I would say is maybe your manager doesn't like you. Maybe your manager doesn't think you're doing a great job. Maybe your manager is just an asshole. Or maybe your manager has other issues going on that prevents them from seeing the great work that you're doing. All of those scenarios are totally possible, totally plausible. You never really know. I think it's a great idea to call it out. I think it's a great opportunity for you to show leadership, for you to show maturity, and for you to show proactivity in saying to your manager, don't go be a victim, don't be a whiner, don't be like, womp, 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 you never compliment me, you never tell me I'm doing a good job. Like, we have that a little bit around here. Like, Dave Portnoy hands out a good job like once every 2 years, and we call them attaboys here. And if you're sitting around waiting for an attaboy for doing your job, like, this is not the place for you. So you may work at that kind of place, or something might just be off with you and your manager. I think it's a great idea to call it out. And how I might recommend you think about it is you're like, hey, I'd love to have a one-on-one. I noticed you're really critical of my performance. And you'll say, hey, I noticed it in this instance, in this instance, in this instance. I'd love to understand what I could have done differently, what you would have wanted to see from that scenario. And then if you start with that question, you can just parlay the conversation into, am I meeting your expectations? Is there something I could be doing differently? Are there things you wish you could see from me? And then it also gives you the opportunity to say, hey, I'd really appreciate if you could acknowledge my work. I feel like you're very critical of my work. I'm super open to that. I love it. I want to be the best. I want to be better. I'm all in and all up for feedback. But it'd be nice to know when the things that I am doing are meeting your objectives, or they're delivering you what you want. So I think a conversation is a great idea. I also have to say that, very often I think managers can kind of be like bitchy and critical and just bite on people instead of taking the time to be like, yo, dude, I think you suck, and here's what you're doing wrong in your job. So credit to you for being the bigger person and prompting that conversation and kind of getting to the bottom of the relationship between you and your manager. Second question, how do I ask for help with some of the tasks that I have to take on when I'm expected to figure it out on my own? My company values the employee who takes on more than just their role and learns how to do new skills and techniques on their own, because that's how most of the veteran employees operate. The grind is really respected here, but I'm starting to feel burnt out from limited resources. Okay, this is a great question. One, it's really easy to feel burnt out, and burnout hits you at different times for different reasons. Could be based on what's going on in your personal life, could be based on what's happening in the workplace, could just be based on how your overall health is or how you feel. So I think the biggest thing is only you know if you're experiencing burnout, or if you're depressed at work, or you're dissatisfied at work, or unfulfilled at work. So you got to listen to yourself. Like, you got to listen to that voice inside of you. I feel like when I don't listen to that voice inside of me, bad things happen, or not great things happen. And my general sense is that that's true for everybody else too. I think it's great to have a culture where, the hero culture wins, right? We have a little bit of a hero culture here where, the more you take on, the more Herculean the task, the bigger the risk and the bigger the win, the more you're loved. Like, that's a little bit of the Barstool sports culture. To be honest, one of the things I'm kind of struggling with at Barstool is it's hard to have everyone be a hero when you have 400 people. Like, it creates infighting. People are pitting themselves against one another instead of working together as a team and banding together to share the work. Everybody just wants the risk and the reward, or that moment of glory. So this is not answering your question at all. So it's a little bit more of a rant on a whole bunch of other things. But what I would say is you got to talk to your manager, and you've got to be like, hey, I'm getting fried. I'm trying to do all these tasks. I'm trying to get this much done with only this much resource, and I need some help prioritizing. I also would love to understand, is it always going to be like this, or is it going to get better, right? Are we just in a pinch or a crunch time, or money's tight, we don't have the resources we need, or is this the way things are? You might get an answer you don't want to hear, which is this is how things are, at which point you need to make a decision about the work-life balance you want and the kind of career you want to have and how good this experience is for you and what you can get out of it. I don't think you want to take the path of like just saying no to work or just shoving work on other people. I would really invest the time to have the conversation about, you know, hey, this feels like a lot. Do you have suggestions on better ways to manage it? Do you have insight into if we're getting more resources? And do you have recommendations on how I should prioritize? And that, I think, is a good conversation that will help you get the answers you need to make the decision, to make the decisions you need about your career and your job. Third question. I just started a new job, and next week is packed with events. That sounds exciting. I'm the new person, and I've only been here a week. And I will be in the room with board members, senior leadership, and a bunch of other people I don't know. That sounds so exciting. I am freaking out. Why would you freak out? How would you go about this experience, and what advice do you have for being alone in a room of people and you're new and younger and you have, this sentence is just a brutal run-on, but long story short, you're new, you're alone, you don't know anyone, you're younger, and you got to mingle with people professionally. I have 3 words for you. Don't get drunk. That is my single biggest piece of advice. You're going to go to all these social functions. You're going to get excited. There's going to be free booze everywhere. Don't get overserved. Being overserved is the fastest way to make a complete ass out of yourself. So that's the first thing I would start with. The second thing is wear something that's sharp, but that you're comfortable in, right? Like, don't wear an outfit that you're uncomfortable in. Don't be like, ooh, I have this mini skirt that's so cute, but it's a titch inappropriate. I can't tell if it's inappropriate or not. Don't wear the mini skirt, right? Like, wear something functional, wear something that is put together, and wear something comfortable so that you can feel your best and feel like yourself. I think the third thing to do is do your research on who's in the room. Know a little bit about your senior executives. Know a little bit about all your board members. Know a little bit about the people who are going to be there, and come up with 3 questions. They could be 3 basic questions, just so that you have a question already ready. If you end up stuck in a corner with like an old board member who has bad breath and you're bored and you're like, shit, I have to come up with a question, you've already had that question already figured out. So I would say just be yourself, don't get drunk, wear something that's comfortable, and have a couple questions ready, and do your homework on who's going to be in the room so that you can be ready to have a conversation with anyone at any time in any place next week.